My name is Dan Lemberger. For those of you who don't know me, I am one of the original Mile High MCs. And now I just wander the plains of Colorado on my own at like a lone desperado or something. But it's my great pleasure to be here today to introduce to you somebody who really needs no introduction. I know people say that a lot about a lot of people, but obviously everybody knows Danny Knowles. If you've ever looked at any kind of social media, if you've ever been here at Mile High, you know who this person is and what his passion is about. So I thought I would share a little bit about Danny. I've known him actually 33 years. Exactly this month, we met in New York 33 years ago, right? Good chiropractic number. And Danny, other than his family and his creator, his three favorite things in the world are chiropractic, Beastie Boys are close, but chiropractic, Marvel superheroes, and movies from the 80s. Usually kind of obscure and strange movies from the 80s. But Danny is someone who's really given a lot of himself for chiropractic, and that's the times everybody who sees him and knows him, he's always talking to somebody, because it's something that he is. It's something that he lives. It's not a game or something that you see people, that he comes up on stage and he says one thing and lives another way. This truly is who he is, and he's passionate. So I thought for 33 years of knowing him that I would look up the 11th chiropractic principle from Stevenson. And interestingly enough, it's very fitting for Danny. It says, for those of you who weren't at Joel Kinch's early morning Green Book study, be there next year, the character of universal forces. The forces of universal intelligence are manifested as physical laws. The intelligence which has created everybody here has manifested you all in your seats today. Danny's been a part of creating that force. These forces are unswerving and unadapted to have no solicitude for structures of matter. And Danny, who will probably tell you a little bit about his experience if you don't know him, was, literally met the universe with no solicitude because his physical body wasn't able to withstand certain forces. But the point about chiropractic isn't that it saved him from that place and what he went through. The point of chiropractic is it got him through that. It didn't make him a perfect creation so bad things don't happen. It made him a perfect creation so that every day he can rise up and be somebody new, to be able to give a greater gift. And hence, when number 2, Tony Stark, Knowles, was born. But for those of you who know Tony Stark, you know that Tony was fine, fighting all the villains in the world on his own, but he was better when he was in company of others. And he brought together all of the superheroes, all of you out there together, to be able to create something new, a new force in the universe. So, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you, but there's one more thing you have to remember, is that this is number 11, right? So, we have to go to the old movie. There's a Mile High tradition of introducing Danny where, people are brought to the stage and you get up and you clap. That's kind of like a level 2. Maybe you clap a little louder. That's like, 6 or 7. Sometimes people get out of their chairs and they're clapping. That's like 8, 9, 10. But when we welcome Danny to the stage, we take it to 11. Yeah. We get up higher because we're bringing chiropractic to a new altitude. It's my great pleasure to introduce my good friend of 33 years, the creator of this wonderful place with his wonderful wife, Rochelle, Dr. Danny Knowles. Definitely.
You all have an extraordinary potential. You all have an extraordinary potential. Chiropractic students, chiropractic docs, you have an extraordinary potential. It's up to you to reach that potential. What does it mean to be a chiropractor? People use that term, you see it posted, capitalize the last 3 words. What does that mean? What are the characteristics of someone that instead of a chiropractor is a chiropractor? Principles. Keep going. Subluxations, enthusiasm, specificity, servant, spizzerinctum. I love it. You talk about innate intelligence. What else do you talk about? Life force. Body heals itself. You adjust instead of manipulate. Right? You're looking to apply a force that somehow the body's going to use it, that it's going to up-level the organization, not that you move the bone, right? Isn't that the difference? What else? Innate? That's what Mile High is about. How we up-level that and focus on people being that. There was someone that came up to me. I don't remember their name. They're hopefully in the room. And, just ask Rochelle sometime the amount of time, energy, and effort it is to create all this. Don't ask her in a good moment. Okay. However, somebody came up to me, it was yesterday or today, it all kind of all blurs, and said something that made it all worth it. I put a lot of energy into the students being here because I really feel like they're the future of the profession. We have to feed into them. And thank you all of you that supported them in the travel fund. I heard we were up to $2,000. You can still add to that, help students get here. But someone who is a DC came up to me and said, I've been in practice 12 years. And I'm paraphrasing what he said because I was so astounded. I've been in practice for 12 years. I graduated from Western States. I've never heard anything like this. And I've never gone to a philosophy thing before. I learned more science and philosophy than anything I've ever learned. He was just so on fire. That's why we do this. This is why we are important. Students and docs. Something else that's super important to me in that area. This. Now, here's the thing. We're not anti-medicine. There's a time and place for medicine. We also just know that's not our place. We're something completely different. They have their gifts, and we have our gifts and our strengths. It's not a competition. We have the gifts that we're giving, and there's a time and place for them. There's time and place for them is sometimes overstepped and ill-utilized, and sometimes it's most certainly life-saving, right? And needed, and we're grateful for. Here's the interesting thing. One of these. Now, someone went to a medical doctor and said, name a symptom. Headaches, back pain, anxiety. You went to a medical doctor and said, I have headaches, back pain, and anxiety. And I think I'm going to die. And the medical doctor just looked at you without doing any tests, any blood work, any imaging, anything, without doing anything, and just simply said, listened to you and said, okay, take those. What might you, as a patient, what might you ask them? When? How much? Well, when you want. When you feel like it. Just whenever you want, take them. What would you guys call that? You call it a quack. You call it malpractice. When there's a chiropractor that doesn't do any kind of evaluation, do any reassessment, I don't care what kind, but some kind of workup to examine and evaluate the condition of that person's nerve system, and then somehow reassess that you're actually delivering that, and you don't do any of that, you say, yeah, come and get adjusted when you want. When you feel like it. No, we don't have to measure anything. When you decide to come in, do that. I'm sorry, to me that's malpractice. I'm not saying you have to do inside EMG or X-ray or pop, whatever it is that you do something. And give a recommendation of some kind and hold yourself accountable to that. That doesn't mean treat what they're having going on or tell them you're going to promise it, but somehow commit that you're going to be accountable, that you're applying some kind of force, and you're going to measure if you're actually delivering what you say you do, that their nerve system's somehow improving. Do that in some way, whatever approach you're using. Does that make sense? That's part of being a chiropractor, is having accountability. That you know that somehow you're measuring that that's improving. In every phase of life, vitality and action, man's highest aspiration should be to advance himself to a higher level, to make himself better mentally and physically. The Chiropractor's Adjuster, page 446, D.D. Palmer. In every phase of life. That's pretty amazing. You ever hear that from anybody ever before, something like that? Better yourself? Here's the thing. Everything is the energy that you bring to it. We tend to think it's going to be our procedure, our technique, it's our CA's fault, it's our hours, it's the city we're in, it's, all of those things. Everything is the energy that you choose to bring to it. And you have to find the resourcefulness to bring a new energy to what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to blame every single circumstance rather than bettering yourself. Everything is the energy that you choose to bring to it. Anybody, if you stayed in the hotel room and got one of these, take that out. If you got a room card like that, take it out. And just leave it on your table, flip it over. Just leave it there and flip it over. I was mentoring someone. I was on a mentoring call with someone, and they said something to me very interesting. And I was explaining about training your team and a chiropractic assistant and a clinical assistant, things like that. And they said, this is hard. You know what I said? Yeah, it is. That's right, it is hard. But here's the thing. You have to decide what you do when something's hard. You have different responses when something's hard. And that depends on you and your energy state and your resourcefulness. And how do you know what your energy state is? Now, where's this in my pocket? Anybody ever see one of these phones with a little keyboard on it? Anybody ever have one of these? I rocked this for a long time. I mean, it was like top of the line. Like, I was like the cool kid that had this. No one had this. And I still have it, okay? I somehow saved it because it was such a prized possession. Now, here's the thing. On this device, could it run the energy and information of today's technologies? Would you want to try to do that in today's world with this? How frustrating would that be? How painful would that be? How distressing, how much like would you feel like you're hitting your head against a wall trying to like get Uber? Would it like be extremely frustrating? Here's the thing, that has to do with this. What bandwidth you have. What bandwidth your system can handle. Here's the thing. As your nerve system loses its integrity, you have less bandwidth to navigate life's challenges, to put energy towards healing, to navigate the things that are going on in your world. As your nerve system has less resources, you have less bandwidth. As your spinal nerve system gets healthier in an upward spiral, you have more bandwidth. It's like going from LTE to 3G to 4G to 5G, like leaving out the conversation of the waves that are going through you and killing us all. But you're going from 3G to 4G to 5G, and somehow you enjoy that greater bandwidth because it lets you navigate from the airport to here somehow a little bit better, with more effortlessness. But here's the thing. If you don't have a lot of resourcefulness and not a lot of bandwidth, if your nerve system is compromised, then that hard, you'll start to say, oh, this is just too hard for me. I'm going to back down. I just can't do it. Oh, woe's me. This is awful. It's the end of the world. A little more bandwidth than that, you might struggle with it. A little more bandwidth than that, you might look like a deer in the headlights, like, what do I do? With a little bit more bandwidth, you might say, bring it on. As a chiropractic community, we have to get to the point that together we say, bring it on. And you have to be able to have the resourcefulness to grow into the next hard. If you're at a level of hard, maybe that's having one team member is a level of hard that you can barely handle it, it's too much. You have to find a way to grow into the next hard beyond one team member. If it's doing re-exams is too much for me, you have to find a way to grow into the hard that you can do re-exams. That's like effortless for your office. Whatever it might be, you have to say, bring on the next hard because I've mastered it. Otherwise, you're going to circle around the same level of the mountain. Your next hard is different than Tyler's next hard to Octavio's. I don't know what it is. Maybe, yours is to get 2, 3, 4 offices. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's something else. My contribution, I thought it was going to be have 2, 3, 4 offices. It became doing this. I didn't know that was the case. And I had to figure out how to do this to get you all here, and I was obsessive that had to happen. I didn't know that was going to be the path. I didn't get to 2 offices, but I did this, and this is pretty darn good. But whatever you're hitting your head against, if you don't grow into the next hard beyond it, you're not going to have your next level of gifting. And you have to find people that can be resourceful to help you get to your next level hard. Otherwise, you'll just keep hitting your head against the wall for it. And not only have to be able to be grateful to grow in the next level of hard, I'm grateful for that something's hard, because if it's hard, that's great. It means there's something else ahead for me to get to. And be excited about that. Because after that, the other thing is not just great, because the hard will come, next one will come if you are grateful for it. Oh, this is a good sign. I got a bad review. This is great. This means there's the next level. There's something for growth here. My team member left. That's good. The next team member is going to come that's even better. And I'm going to do a better job training them because I learned something for it. But then the next thing is you have to be hungry for the next more. Because in that hard, there's also a more that you're going to gain. You have to be hungry for that more. I don't know what it is. But there's some more joy, more vacations, more friendship. There's some level of more. And you have to discover what you're hungry for that fills you to get past the hard that you're hitting the wall, that you're circling the same level and having the same problems over and over again. Do you follow that? Question. What are some of the things chiropractic has given you? Life? Everything? Hope? Joy? Connection? Income? Friends?
Lifelong friends.
How valuable is all that?
Money.
Money. She said income. Think about the health that you enjoy because of chiropractic. Somehow that got you to chiropractic school. Most of the people, like something in your life, many people in your life changed, you decided to become a chiropractor because of that, right? What about the health of your kids that they enjoy compared to the other kids in their classrooms? Like, how valuable is that? Like, your healthcare bills are probably less than other parents. You ever notice that? That's pretty darn awesome. How much money you're saving not having healthcare bills of other things, right? When I think about it, I think of the things. I'm going to talk about what chiropractic gave me. Because here's the thing. When something is giving you a lot, you give back to it. When something is giving you much, give more back to it. Whether it be through school or an organization, give something back to it. Think of what you would have had in healthcare bills if you had to do that for your kids or you think of all your people the same age, you go to high school and like all the things are happening, like, wow, I don't have that going on because of the joy of being a chiropractor and being, all that. And it's not always easy. A shout out to all the flowers growing through the concrete. Because a lot of the people that go into some kind of healing art really commonly have some kind of wound. And somehow they're going to grow to give more through that. See, many people have said this in many different ways. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Reggie Gold said you got to be a little cracked to let the light come in. Similar thing, okay? The wound is the place where the light enters you. I got to tell you, I've thought about this a tremendous amount. More than I probably should. Maybe not more, but I tend to contemplate stuff a lot. Just ask Rochelle. Interestingly enough, this was July 2nd, 2018. July 2nd, 2018. I was down at the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies fighting for, in the state of our board, about group rooms, financial plans, and there was something else that they wanted to change. July 2nd, 2018. There with me, anybody recognize those people? They come to Mile High often. Jason Miller, CBP doc. I just spaced on the name of the other gentleman. Jeremy Casagrande. Owns several joint offices. Network, joint, CBP, all very different. But we all showed up together for that issue. We can do that and practice differently and have unity in our diversity as chiropractors for how we can impact chiropractic for the better. And we need to. We need to throw less rocks at each other, so when things like that happen, we can do that together. Here's the thing. That was July 2nd, 2018. This was me July 3rd, 2018. On the left. Because I had to get rushed to a hospital. It was actually July 5th. I was after prep for surgery. So it was a couple days later, because July 3rd I went to the ER. No symptom. I mean, I looked pretty well there. I don't know. I did. I did. 4:30 a.m. Push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. I mean, every day. But then that was that with my wonderful family, and this was July 5th after surgery. And then the day we went home from the hospital, July, it would have been like a week later. I remember that drive home. As soon as I got in the car and like I saw the light of the day, I just bawled. I just cried. I mean, I cried my eyes out because I did not know. I went in there like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll go to the ER. Like, I don't really have to go. You're crazy that you think I have to go, Rochelle, but but I went, and then I didn't think I'd be there, and then I just cried the whole way home. After realizing what had just happened to me and the healing process that was going to have to come through after. And then when I got home, that's what I saw on your left all the way. All those flowers, all those balloons, those cards that you guys sent me, a lot of you sent me, and if you did, thank you. I didn't know who sent what. There was so much of an outpouring of things. And I remember getting home and just saying, wow, look at all the stuff people sent me. I didn't know I was so loved and appreciated and valued, and it was so, like, I cried the whole way home, and then I saw all these house full of stuff. And then there was this, Michael Viscarelli gifted us going to his cabin with my family. That's what his cabin, and then sitting there, and then there was this picture that I took, miracles will happen, somebody sent me that. Because Mile High was like in 6 weeks, which we pulled off thanks to these guys, put that all together. But here's the thing that I thought about with all this, going back to this. What has chiropractic given me? What has chiropractic given you? The biggest pain wound I've had in my life, and Rochelle will tell you because she's probably heard it so many times that she has heard me complain and talk about it, was my relationship with my dad, my parents' divorce, he decided to not talk to me when I told him I was going to be a chiropractor. Like, I decided to be a chiropractor, he stopped talking to me on that day. Like, hung up the phone and said I don't have a son. Yeah, for a lot of time. And that was like the biggest wound. But I know that's where the light came in. Because, one, how much I received from being a chiropractor, how much I was able to give to others by being a chiropractor. And I don't care what anybody says, I would not have lived through this, I have not chosen to be a chiropractor.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have gotten to that point. I probably would have died before it or something. I know it. Things wouldn't have gone in such a way that I would have been healthy enough to, all the chiropractic care that I got from Donnie Epstein, all that way, all the other gifts would not have manifested if I had not made that decision. So think how much chiropractic has given you that you don't necessarily see, but somehow the weaver of life has put things such a way of what you've experienced and enjoyed. That's how valuable chiropractic is. That's why I put so much time, energy into all of this and to as much as possible, because It's such an amazing gift. And giving anything less than your best is a sacrifice of that gift. Whatever your best is. Whatever it is that you have to get through the next hard to your next level. Whatever that is, your next level is different than Darren's, thank God. It's different than Matthew Mancuse's and different than Elise's. You don't have to be on Elise's trajectory, but you have some next tier for you. It's not going to look like Katina's. But she has another next tier. We all do. But it's a journey that's different. Joel, can you play this?
These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities. And another 720 days will go to community activities, like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
You chose to spend a few of those jelly beans here. That you do that and trust Rochelle and trust me to give your registration's not your most valuable asset. Those couple jelly beans to be here are, that you value that. To be here, that means the world. And I put so much energy because I don't take it lightly. Because I've gone to things where it was a waste of my time. And once you've gone through some things like that, some of you have seen things that you've gone through with health things. I was talking about Stan Pierce for a while about that with your loved ones or family or parents or significant other. It changes you a little bit. You get things in a different perspective. And or expands perspective, makes it a little bit more real for you. So when you make choices of your time, be wise about them. My son, when he was 16ish, he wrote me a letter about how he wanted to be a chiropractor. I was really happy about that. It made me smile. And I said, don't do that. I sat down with him and actually wrote him a letter back and sat down with him and said, don't do that because of me. Like, don't do it to make me or Rochelle, your mom happy. Do it because you want to do it. He was like, no, I want to do it. Then he went to business school. And he said, I want to go to business school first because chiropractors suck with business. I said smart. And then he did really well in business school. And he wanted to go down that path. I said, okay, well, not a chiropractor, I'm going to go to business school. And we left out of the house, and he moved out. I laid in his bed for like 5 hours crying. And he went, just when he went to college. But then he moved back home for a little bit, got a job, and then he was started his new job and get an apartment. And he went to move out again to get his apartment in New York and start his job the next day. And I said something, we all say God, family, chiropractic, like it's a common phrase that we say, right? And I couldn't say that. So I said, what do I say? So I said, God, family, purpose. You got to have a purpose what you do. I said, God, family, purpose. Make sure whatever you're doing with your new job that it feels purposeful. Because if it isn't purposeful 10 years or 20 years, it will suck. It doesn't matter what it is. You can find purpose in all kinds of things. You don't have to be a chiropractor to have purpose. But if you didn't have purpose as an architect, it would suck. It doesn't matter what it is the thing that you have to enjoy gifting. Here's the thing. Do not allow yourself to be the chiropractor that gave less than your best and has buyer's remorse over your degree, or regrets being a chiropractor, or didn't get to your next level, or didn't give as much as you could, or didn't feel like you didn't grow to your next hard, or you were hungry for your next more and you stayed complacent. Don't let that happen to you. Those jelly beans are way too valuable. And the thing is, what you do makes other people's jelly beans increase. They get more of them because of you. In fact, not only do they increase, they get more jelly beans, they taste better. That's a pretty good gift to give. So enjoy that. And thank you for being at Mile High.